according to a university study and a recent poll, relations between Australians and Muslims, non-Muslim Australians and Muslim Australians, is not as great as you would like that to be. Here are some of the facts that are coming out of this study. According to it, 3 out of 5 people would be concerned if a relative married a Muslim. 1/3 would want Muslims to be searched more at airports. 1/4 of Australians would have no problem with Muslims being the sole target of anti-terrorism measures, and half would want to ban Muslim immigration. 1/3 would be concerned, however, if a relative married a Jew, so that they're equal opportunity in that situation.
Okay. I like that they threw that in at the end. Like, don't get us wrong, we're also anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
We're not going to leave them out of it, right? We're generally hateful people. Now, that's not all Australians, but the numbers are pretty sad and depressing.
And just to qualify it, this is the first of 3 tranches of this study, and it was made public at the University of New South Wales. But it did kind of line up pretty identically to the recent poll that had gone around, and results had come out from that.
I'm slightly amused by one part of this. 1/3 say, let's search the Muslims at the airports, but 60% say, whatever you do, don't marry them. Like, if they blow us up on a plane, I could live with it. You're going to marry one? So for the bigotry against Muslims, they at least have their fig leaf of the terrorism, etc. On the anti-Semitism, they're like, no, that's okay. We don't need a fig leaf. Just don't marry one. There's no reason.
I really want to see how this poll was taken and who volunteered to take it.
There's 304 people in the first tranche of 3, and the poll was, I believe, a newspaper or like a poll, like a normally done poll of people in the public.
In my head, I'm screaming, the sample size is too small, but this is not a scientific study, so I will not.
It's the beginning. The university one is the beginning of a scientific research study. There is one of the researchers at the Alfred Deakin Institute for Citizenship and Globalization did add something nice to this. And they said people who know Muslims and more about Islam as a religion are the ones who don't feel threatened. So if you're less ignorant toward it, you're less likely to feel misguidedly hateful.
And by the way, it might be more bigotry against Muslims, profiling, whatever you want to do, because there's less of them around in Australia, I imagine, right? So if you know, a black person, you're less likely to hate black people, and the list goes on. And if you don't know any Muslims, it's easier for other people to demonize them and go, oh my God, they're all terrorists, you got to watch out for them. But if you live with a lot of Muslims around, you're like, well, Fatma over there, who seems to really love her kids and goes to work every day, doesn't seem like a terrorist. Right?
It's like working off primordial fears of the other and, in group, out group. This is like lizard brain going into action of, oh, that's different. It's a threat. I cannot assess this. And it's so dumb, and it's such an old concept, which is sad.
Is it weird that when I hear other countries having similar problems, I just go, we're not alone. They are like that too. It does seem like if this study came out and it said that, listen, relationships with Muslim Americans are not where we would like them to be if we're having an open, honest discussion with people and where we want to be as a society. I would totally believe things like this.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I have a personal story about this, and it relates to other countries and old world as well. And of course, America's not alone in having bigotry. In fact, I'd argue that the old world has even more bigotry and racism than America does in a lot of places. And by the way, Kim is right to give you a note of caution on the way that this study is done, and it's only the first tranche. So don't ironically hate Australian people. Okay, that would also not make sense. Okay, so my personal story is I dated a woman who was South Asian, and she did not want to introduce me to her parents. Even though I'm an atheist, I grew up Muslim, nominally so, almost not practicing at all. But I did for a little while, let me not drink beer, right?
Mm-hmm.
and then I was
I tried that last week. It was terrible.
Exactly. And I was like, this is a really bad idea. I also didn't eat bacon for a while, and I was like, no, this is insane. This is obviously God's food, so we're going to move forward from this religion nonsense. But nonetheless, she didn't want to introduce me to her parents. And I have enormously thick skin, so I was like, whatever. Are we still dating? We're still dating? Okay, rock and roll. Okay, so I didn't really care at all, partly because I'm an immigrant, and I know in the old world, are Hindus in South Asia, are they a little skeptical about Muslims? Of course! And by the way, the Muslims not particularly fond of the Hindus either. When you go to Pakistan and Bangladesh and also in India as well. So that's partly why I'm not that fazed by any of this. I just feel like we got a lot of work to do. So let's all, learn from each other and realize maybe this is stupid. Maybe that if you find out, you get to know one another, that they're not the other side, whatever you think the other side is not so scary. But people think like, oh, we go off on racism all the time and stuff. No, we point out the things that are happening so that we can get beyond it. I don't think it helps a lot to be like, oh, okay, you guys are the bad guys, and you're the only bad guys in the world, and everybody else is awesome. No, there's all this going around and around.
It's kind of interesting, too, because I don't know that much about Australian government, but I was doing a little research, and they have this party called the One Nation Party, started by Pauline Hanson, and it's someone who called for a ban on all Muslim immigration. And there are people from the Labour Party, like Penny Wong, who's like, listen, she points to, when people who are Irish in America kind of say, like, listen, the Irish people and the Italians were the ones you went after. She said in the 90s, people are going after Muslims now in Australia. In the 90s, they went after the Asians, people like me who came over. And when I see this, then I get to see that they have like a parliament. They have like a representative, like proportional democracy situation. So now you get to see that like her party she has her own party, it did not pick up many seats in the Senate.
But she still has a voice.
So
that's the upside of Australia.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see all that stuff and how like the same kinds of discussions that happen here happen elsewhere.
Well, look, I actually saw this great quote. Let me see if I can paraphrase it. Again, from Arundhati Roy, who was she's a super liberal, having a conversation with John Cusack. They went to go see Edward Snowden and Daniel Ellsberg. They did this amazing trip. And she said, the study of history is not about learning our past, it's about learning our future. And I was like, damn, she just dropped some knowledge on me. And so, because I bring that up in the context of, look at here in America. During World War II, we refused to take in Jewish refugees. And there was a famous ship that came to the coast of Florida. So, we don't know. These people from a country that's having a lot of troubles, and we don't want any troubles here. We're not taking them. Send them back. And now we've got Syrian refugees and Muslim refugees, and we go, no, we don't want those Muslim refugees. But they're running from ISIS, who you call Nazis. And we're doing it again, going, nope, we're not going to take in the refugees. That's a country that has problems, and we don't want those problems, so go away. So can we ever, I don't know, I'm still hopeful. Maybe one day, if there's enough information and the internet, delivers that information to everybody, maybe one day we can learn from a history so that it actually stays in the past and is not our future. If you're upset with mainstream media, we have the alternative for you. Come build independent media with us. Your membership powers the Young Turks. tytnetwork.com/join.